What's good with the YouTube? You already know. Big Flocka with a convict's perspective, man. And, we had a banging live last night. We've been dropping banging content every time I have the brother Badass Snoop on. And a couple of you guys who, in the comments, have been requesting over and over again, man, hey, what's that story about Snoop knocking out a cop? One of you guys was actually there when it happened, was commenting about it, man. So I talked to Snoop a little bit. I said, look, man, the people want to hear this story about you knocking out a cop, right? And he goes, which one? I said, well, how many times was there? He goes, man, there's a few. So I'm going to let him go into one of these stories, and maybe we'll do a follow-up about a whole nother one in a couple weeks. But what's up with the Snoop?
Hey, how's it doing, man?
Man, I knew you were kind of hesitant to talk about this, man, but you thought the people want to hear it, so you're like, man, let's just do it. Let's rock it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It happened so long ago, but yeah, I have no problem elaborating on it.
Okay.
Okay, so anyways, I was surprised, when one of the real popular events that transpired was actually in 2003 when I knocked this cop out. That was a pretty interesting situation that a lot of people remember because a lot of people were there, and probably around 30 people witnessed that. But this guy, Domino, yesterday that inquired about it, he was actually talking about a situation that transpired back in 1993. And I was actually 18 years old. I was in the county jail in Yolo County. Like I said, I was 18 years old, and they had me in the administrative segregation. I was doing a few weeks at SEG for getting into it, beating up some dude named Marcos Marquez. Marcos Marquez was actually a hermano, and he was, trying to basically be a dictator of the pod that I was in, and I ended up beating him up, knocked his teeth through his lips. And they gave me ADSEC time. So, they had me in ADSEC for a while. And while I was there was, a few people that were permanently housed there, fighting their cases. And so as I was there for a little while, they kept the tray slots open, and they would serve chow, and, they had a trustee that would come through there and give us coffee and pass for us, and we was able to watch TV, and it was pretty cool. It was as far as ADSEC is concerned. Whenever we came out for our showers every day, we would be able to use the phone and stuff. But
this call is being recorded.
The inmates, they were pretty unruly, rambunctious and loud and stuff. Now. That's how normally it kind of is in the county jails, But as a result of that, there was also very disrespectful correctional officers. The Yolo County Jail wasn't ran by the police or the sheriff deputies. The officers that worked there were actually correctional officers. I don't know if it's still like that, but that's how it was back there in the 90s, the early 90s when I was there. But there was several officers that were very disrespectful. And one thing that I noticed is that, some of these guys would actually pop the doors open. They would literally open the door and, challenge the inmates. And I've witnessed that happen on several occasions. And, they would basically bully these inmates. The inmates would be, wolfing behind the doors and talking shit and basically telling the cop to, and this, I'm sure you probably have heard this too, Flocko. The person would say, oh, pop the door if you want some. You got the key.
Yeah.
Open the door.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. And, 9 times out of 10, the guy doesn't want to lose his job, so of course he's not going to pop the door open. And in most cases, the officer isn't going to lose his job because all he has to do is lie. They say that he opened the door for, whatever reason, and, the inmate attacked him. And so that happened on several occasions. But one day in particular, they had procrastinated in passing out our food, And so a lot of the inmates were yelling and screaming, and by the time they had the trustee come pass the food, it was very cold. So most of us, what they would do is they would put the trays on the tray slot, and we would get it whenever. So the food trays were on the tray slot, and a lot of us just went ahead and knocked it off. We knocked it off, and the food splattered all over the place. So later on, when they passed out lunch, the correctional officer comes in there. This guy thought he was real tough. He used to wear
This call is being recorded.
shirts real tight, to try to make it seem like he's muscular. He had a little size on him, but he would wear his size small shirts, rolled up to make himself look real tough.
Yeah.
And he thought he was a real cowboy. So he came through there, and he was telling guys, all you guys who do your trays, I'm gonna open your door, and you're gonna come out here, you're gonna clean this shit up. Do you understand? And so, we're like, fuck you. And, people are talking shit to him. And by this time, it's already lunchtime. So he has the sandwiches and the soup right there, and he tells the trustees, go ahead and stand right there, So they put the sandwiches on the, table, and he says, if you guys want to eat, you're going to come out here and you're going to clean up. And so, not everybody threw their trays out the tray slot. Some guys had their trays still on their tray slot. So, for those guys, he had the trustee grab the tray and hand them their sandwich and their soup. And for those who didn't have a tray, he was opening their door. And he was telling them, grab their towel and, clean that mess up. And so whatever mess was in front of the cell, these guys were obliging. So of course there were those of us who were, adamant about, not conforming to this. And so, one of the guys that was really unruly, that was, he's basically kind of the guy leading, this situation. He's woofing. He's telling the cop, if you open my door, it's on. And so the cop says, so if I open your door, you're not going to come out and clean? He's like, fuck no, I'm not cleaning shit. He was open the door, and I'll show you what's up. So, he was a black guy from Oakland. I forgot his name. It's been a long time. But anyways, he opens the door, and I'm thinking about he's going to take off on the cop, And sure enough, he opens the door, and he's like, what were you saying? And he backs up, and he's telling the cop, come up in here. Come up in here. And so the cop literally walks up in there.
This call is being recorded.
Not only does he do that, but he literally grabs the door and closes it, but doesn't lock it. He literally just closes the door without shutting it all the way. And so they're in there. They're talking. About 2 minutes pass by, and the officer walks out the door, closes it, and says, "Yeah, that's what I thought." So dude starts talking shit again. Yeah, you didn't want none. And I witnessed the whole thing. The dude did want some, but the dude broke it down. All this loud mouthing he was doing. And up until that time, I kind of, I got along with the dude. He was talking that talk. So you know, I'm maybe 1, 2, 3. I'm about 4 cells from there. You know, I'm right there on the corner, so you know, I was able to see everything. So he goes to the other cell and opens the door, and since you know the majority of these inmates saw that this guy was willing to open the door, that kind of diffused the situation. So all of a sudden, people are getting a little bit more quiet. The guys on the top tier, they're still talking shit a little bit. So they're asking me, you know, hey, Snoop, what happened? And I said, hey, he just went into, you know, Oakland cell. Did they fight? And I said, hey, no, it didn't look like it. So the dude from Oakland is like, hey, you ain't gonna do nothing, Snoop. You're gonna open your door too. I said, well, if he opens my door, I said, shit, I'm not going out like that. They were like, what you gonna do, Snoop? I was like, I'm not going out like that, you know? And so finally they make it to my cell, man. And dude said, what did you say? I said, if you open my cell, I'm not going out like that. He goes, are you saying you're not gonna come out here, you're not gonna clean this mess? And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. They said, well, where's your tray? Do you have your tray in your cell? I said,
This call is being recorded.
so I back up off the door. I'm letting them look in my cell. And he said, so you threw your tray out? I said, hey, I don't got nothing to say to you. He said, are you saying that you're not going to come out here and clean this mess? I said, that's exactly what I'm saying. And sure enough, that dude literally put the key in the lock and unlocks it, opens the door, you know, opens it wide, and he walks up to me, man. Now, mind you, you know, I was 18 years old at the time. You know, I probably weighed around 160, maybe 170 at best, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Probably around maybe 5'9", 5'10" at the time. And, you know, he walks to me. You know, he's around 6 foot tall, man. And he puts his chest to me. And, I mean, he left me no other choice, you know. I just cracked him. You know, I popped him one time, man. And he stumbles back. And I seen he was disoriented. So I popped him with a left and just knocked him smooth unconscious, man. And everybody was just, get him, Snoop, get him, get him. And the dude was out. He was out cold, you know. And I'm looking around, and from, you know, from where I'm at, you know, they have a glass right there which leads to the yard, but you can also see straight. You know, you can see the podium where the cops are at. You know, they have their own office behind there and shit. So I see, and nobody sees this guy unconscious. So I literally just walk back in my cell, and everybody's just yelling and screaming, and jump on him, kick him, Snoop, stomp him. And even the black dude that literally broke the shit down, you know, just a little while ago, he's telling me, man, kick him, Snoop, stomp him out, stomp him out. And I'm contemplating it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, dude's out. You know, I'm not going to, you know, whether he's a cop or not, I'm not going to go stomping this dude out, man. So I'll walk back into my cell, and I shut the door. And everybody's all, you know, yelling and screaming, and next thing you know, fucking alarm hits, you know, ding, 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 ding. They literally hit the alarm, and, you know, within about 60 seconds, you know, there's the whole cavalry. You know, there's literally 10, 15 cops in the pod, man, and, you know, they call, you know, code 3, and so, you know, medical personnel shows up, and the cops are saying, you know, what happened? So they're going to different cells and shit. What happened? You know, they're telling what happened to him. And so by that time, you know, they're I don't know if they put, you know, the salts under his nose or what it was, but, you know, dude is coming to, and they're telling him to stay down, you know, go ahead and stay down. Well, you know, what happened? And he said, I don't know, you know. And they're like, so they put him on the stretcher, and they get him out of there, and, you know, the cops are right there, they're like asking the inmates, what happened? What happened? And so they start opening doors and asking the inmates, what occurred. They're going into the cells, 2, 3 deep, and they're asking. And so they go to different cells, and the cells that are allowing the cops in their cell, they're going in there and they're talking, All of a sudden, I'm seeing they're looking at my cell. And so they all walk out. They probably went to about maybe 4 or 5 cells, maybe even more, because some went upstairs too. I wasn't able to see, who allowed the cops into their cell, but it might have been more than that. But from what I saw, there was at least probably about 4 or 5 people that allowed the cops in their cell. And so
This call is being recorded.
next thing you know, about maybe 10 minutes later, the guys on the top tier say, hey, Snoop, watch out, man. Here they come. And so they end up going, there's 2 ADSEC pods in the Yolo County Jail when I was there. And we share the same yard. So you have ADSEC 1 and ADSEC 2. I'm in ADSEC 1. Mm-hmm. So as I look out my cell, I see that about 5 cops went into ADSEC 2. And sure enough, they came out to the yard, and then the cops come into the pod 4 or 5 deep, and then the deputies from the correctional officers that were in the yard opened the door, and they met them. And so, there's literally like about 12 dudes right there, man. Sure enough, they tell me, get on the ground, now. And of course, I'm not going to get on the ground, And I know that it's over for me, Once I get on the ground, they're going to stomp me out. No matter what, they're going to come in my cell. They're going to fuck me up. So I'm going to fight back, So they're telling me, get on the ground now. If you don't get on the ground, we are going to spray you. And, mind you, like I previously indicated, the trace slots are open. So, they have their mace cans right there. And I told them, I'm not getting on the ground. They're like, turn around. I'm not turning around. So, they spray me and pop the door open. They run in there. And, there wasn't much I can do, man. I've got spraying, so I'm just doing my best, swinging on these dudes, and they take me down, take me to the ground, and they fuck me up, They get punching on me, kicking on me, they cuss me up, and, they drag me about the cell, and, everybody else is screaming, get off of them, they're kicking me and stomping me out. They fucked me up pretty bad, But that was that, they went ahead and, lifted me up, and they're yelling and screaming, and, they push my head down, and they walk me out and take me to medical, and put me in one of the holding cells up there, and finally, maybe about an hour or 2 later, they finally allowed the nurse to come in there and check me and whatnot. And, I have anything to say? And I said, no, I don't have nothing to say. What happened? I told him, I don't know. At the time, I was 18 years old, so I didn't know. I didn't know at the time that when it comes to, officers, when it comes to law enforcement, if they put hands on you and they, beat you up for whatever reason, you have the right to make a statement and say what happened. A lot of people have a huge misconception when it comes to that. And people assume, like, oh, yeah, you're a snitch. And a lot of times the people that promote this narrative that you're a snitch or that, you told, per se, it's pretty much law enforcement that are saying that. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of corrupt law enforcement that have a tendency of cuffing inmates up, cuffing convicts up, prisoners up, and beating up on them. A lot of the county jails do that, especially Sacramento County Jail. Woodland County Jail had a history of beating up inmates.
This call is being recorded.
A lot of times, people that have this misconception like myself at that time, they don't say anything. And so this type of behavior, it continues to propel and perpetuate, and these guys get away with it, oftentimes. And so, like I said, I didn't say anything. I chose not to make a statement, even though I'm lumped up and, I got abrasions on my face and, bumps on my head and, busted lip and, my eye was, had a little knot in the side of it and whatnot.
No charges?
Yeah, of course they charged me. They charged me for, battery on an officer.
Wow.
Yeah, and because I knocked them unconscious, they got me for the GBI as well,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they ad booked me and stuff, and yeah, I was an idiot. Had I chose to, file on it, perhaps I would have been able to, get my charges dropped or been able to, get it dropped down or whatnot. But yeah, I ended up having to deal with that, and they ended up giving me a year. I ended up pleading to a year county time, and for the time that I had been there, I ended up getting time served and whatnot, and ended up going back to CYA then after. But yeah, that's what transpired, man. I was 18 years old in Yolo County Jail.
That's a good story, man. I can't wait to hear the. We're gonna be doing the future. We're gonna be doing the one about the that everybody's heard about that happened out there in the streets, I believe, where the cop got put through a window.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna be doing that in the future. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I can probably try to get the police report for that too, for the one that transpired. Maybe you can post that up,
Yeah, I'll do that most definitely.
For some of the viewers and shit. I'll try to see if my wife can locate
This call is being recorded.
the incident in 2003, because that was bananas, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the viewers out there, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying, as we're telling the story about how we founded the movement. It's going to be a long, about close to maybe 10 different videos until we get to how it started, right? So we're going to be including different stories like this in between as we drop those ones as well. Okay. So everybody,
absolutely. So
everybody on YouTube, have a good one.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
As you were saying, Flacco, a lot of people asked about it afterwards. Yeah, so if there's any certain incidents that people are curious about, if enough viewers generate the interest, I have no problem in clarifying for the viewers the incidents that transpired around that time. So
that are all resolved.
Questions or
they're all resolved. There's no court case. There's nothing like that anymore. They're all done. So he'll talk about all that, all his current stuff. We're not going to really touch on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But with that said, YouTube, have a good one.